won't hear any of this background noise. Oh, sorry. I tried to follow instructions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Monday night training call. Let me just see if I can find you there, Darlene. There you are. Let me just unmute you, Darlene. You can unmute yourself too. There you are. Hi, Darlene.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good.
Good stuff. Just give people a few more minutes to log on here. It's nice to see everybody on here. Man, oh man, are we ever going to get some nice weather soon?
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, it looks like it's going to warm up a little bit by Wednesday in our area, Darlene.
It was colder today.
Yeah, it was again, right? So we're due. We're absolutely due for some warmer weather. So it looks like Wednesday it's going to be a little bit warmer. So anyways, just got back from Chicago. We had a great time in Chicago at the Success Express celebration in Chicago. We got some really, really good training from Dr. Joe Baldino and Dr. Mark Working, and it was well attended. And one of the ladies that drove all the way from Brantford happened to win the draw for the gold pack. So, boy, yeah, Diane Kitching won the gold pack. That was pretty exciting for her to drive all that way, 10 hours, and then be awarded with a gold pack, which is $1,200 value. So nice to see everybody on there. Pat Grass, Karen Stringy, Mike Vaganus, Paula Snow, Nancy Janetta, Terry Lynn Parker, Kevin Duguay's in the house. Kevin just got back from a great tour out in Saskatchewan. Doogsy, where are you here? Before we get rolling here, there you are, Doogsy. Doogsy, how are you, buddy?
Oh man, stoked.
I heard you had a good road trip out on.
Man, it's phenomenal.
Good stuff,
when you got great lineys and people you get to share with, it's going to be a awesome trip. And with Carla, Michelle, Joan Williams, great ladies, great teammates. Blew a lot of smoke out of people's ears, man, on the 5 days. It was I'm putting up some stories, but it was pretty epic. It was the phys ed teachers, the nurses, a lot of cool things developed in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, it looks like it was well attended.
Yeah, it was great. Good turnouts all over and lots of activity. People fired up just like you down in Chicago with your event and people, and it's
good
lives.
Yeah, it's so good to see, and we got some momentum coming in, to our event. And Terry Lynn says, I was just going to say, nice haircut. Good haircut.
Yeah, Jay's all happy.
Hey, my father-in-law used to be bald. When I get my haircut, he used to tell me to save the clippings so he could tape them onto his head. But anyways, thanks for all you do, partner. We all appreciate it.
Likewise, man. Anytime.
And I'm really excited to have Darlene Remer-Frost on tonight. Darlene has trained before. She has she's building a very, very, very nice business in my area down here in Simcoe, Ontario. And Darlene and I talk, every now and then. Probably should talk more, Darlene. But anyways, our schedule is good. We travel and we're busy and so on. But we talked about how important knowledge is, and we're all getting that knowledge slowly but surely, especially, with the new white paper that has just come out and with some of the new studies that are becoming available to us as associates. If you're muted, Dukes, you might not be muted there, buddy. Let me just see if I can mute you. I got you, buddy. You're muted.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, let me just mute you here, bud. Okay, can you hear still? You can hear me, dude, but I can't hear you now, so you're good. So if you're not muted, please mute. Thank you. But yes, Darlene and I talk, and we're all learning. We're gaining more knowledge, and with the events, along with, Jay's training, along with our team trainings that we're trying to do our best job that we can to help everybody do a better job at learning exactly how to present this technology. And I put a poll up on our team page. I'd love to hear from everybody in the team page, because I'm considering putting together a training and bringing in some trainers, bringing in some of the doctors and so on to do a training. I know that we had Diane Dinkmeyer say that if we could combine it with the Toronto, and I don't think I'm going to be able to combine it in time with the Toronto to put stuff away. We're working on getting the Toronto event organized, but we are getting a lot of knowledge. And I mean, it's one thing to have the knowledge. It's another thing to say, what are we doing with that knowledge? What are we using it for? And we have to be able to, take that knowledge and do something with it. So presenting it, sharing it, and being consistent with the knowledge is really, really key. And so Darlene came up with this great topic called, knowledge is great, but it's power, and we love all that, but consistency on sharing it is key. So Darlene is a wonderful friend of mine. She's a great mom. She's been in Vox now for almost 2 years, Darlene, I think, close to
Almost 2.5.
Almost 2.5 years now. And I know that, Darlene at the beginning was like maybe a lot of us. No, I don't want to do this as a business. I don't want to do this. And somehow when you share and you see results with people and you understand that we have something, powerful here, it's sometimes hard not to do it. And so when you share it, it's nice to be rewarded for that. And then all of a sudden, Shazam, you have a little business going and you can take it to whatever, heights you want to take it. So I'm really, really excited and really delighted and very grateful to have Darlene on tonight to lead the field in her training called Knowledge is Power, Consistency is Key. So welcome, Darlene.
Thank you very much. Okay, so maybe what I'll do is I'll start with my own personal story of how I did get introduced to Vox, because a lot of people don't know. I haven't actually put a testimonial up of my story. So this will give you a little bit of background. So actually, Terry, we do need to talk a little bit more, because I was in right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Although I did not let on. That's maybe the difference.
That could be possible, yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't quite let on how much I was into it. So I am a massage therapist. I've been practicing for 27 years. And I had a client about 2.5 years ago. It was about Christmas time. Bring me in a flyer, and it was the Neuro guy, the blue flyer page with the products on the back. And she's like, I just spent a ridiculous amount of money on a pair of socks, and they're supposed to help my pain, and they don't do squat. But they look scientific, and I know you like to pick stuff apart, so have at it. And I took that sheet of paper, and I looked at it, and my first thought is, holy cow, like this actually makes sense. If you can put the brain into homeostasis, if you can put the body at rest, amazing things can happen. And from my massage therapy experience, I know that. And so it wasn't a matter of not accepting that it could be done. It was a matter of, I need to know more about this company. So that's when I found out that it was a direct selling company. And then it was like, oh boy, I really don't want to sell Tupperware. So that was my hesitation, to be honest, more so than anything. But I also understood from going to one of the events, so talk about your events, the importance of going to the events, the importance of hearing Jay was huge. Understanding that he didn't really want to do direct selling either, but that's how you get it out there. That's how you get people to talk, is get it on the more people out there. And then people can actually experience what's going on. and you can get it out there to more people who need it. So yeah, I was introduced to it, and I got a pair of insoles from Jen. Head office put me in touch with Jen Moyer. Hi, Jen, if you're there. And I got the insoles, and I took them straight over to my dad, who just had heart surgery a little while ago at the time. And he was walking around. Of course, you walk because you can't cough because your chest is going to blow open. And then it's like, the therapist in me is like, Dad, you got to stand up. You got to breathe. You got to walk. You got to do stuff. And he's like, I don't want to fall. And for an 82-year-old retired farmer, I mean, that's really hard to watch. And so I did the stability test on him and put him on the insoles. And the very first thing that he does is he stands straight up. And my mom looks at me and is like, what just happened? And I'm like, I'm not really sure. And I asked my dad, says, what just happened? And he's like, I don't know. I just don't feel like I'm going to fall. And that was the beginning. And so I go and pick up my insoles, and I go out the door, and he's like, you're taking them with you? And of course, I had to leave them there for him. And a week later, my mom calls me up. She's like, he wants to try the socks. I said, he doesn't need the socks. He's got the insoles. No, he wants to try the socks too, because he's not always in his shoes or slippers. And so I got him the socks, got him the wellness, and he wore them. And a week after that, my mom calls me up again. We need another pair. He won't take them off. And so there again, you know, and this is an encouragement to you. If you're out there struggling, like, I don't know what they're doing, I would ask him, Dad, what are they doing for you? And he's like, I don't know. I just feel better. Homeostasis is not it's about making your body and your brain work better together. And that is something that the knowledge part is huge, because again, this client of mine that brought me that sheet of paper, she told me that they didn't do anything for her, but she was told at that point in time that they would help her pain, and it may not. And this is the thing that you have to understand, is the technology works on your brain. It doesn't work on actually on the pain. The pain relief may be a side effect. So that's where knowledge is huge. And the power of that knowledge in expressing it to other people is huge as well. So that was my start of my Vox journey. So then I started to experiment with it. I didn't incorporate it into my practice right away. And there again, because I didn't know the full, I guess I wanted to be more educated on it myself so that I had the confidence to relay what was going on and how I could explain it to other people. So that's where the knowledge is powerful. The knowledge actually leads to credibility. When you know how to explain the tech and what it can do and what it can't do, there's a huge credibility there. And it's also about how it can lead to compassion. I'll get into that. And also how you can gain confidence from your knowledge of the product and what it can do. So credibility is the first point under my knowledge topic that I want to bring in. And this came about in the spring. I was at a vendor show, and I was back to back with another vendor. My booth was facing this way, her booth was facing backwards. So we were kind of listening to each other's stuff as we were presenting to other people. And she's like, I have a pair of those. And I'm like, why aren't you wearing them? Well, I'm not playing golf. And I'm like, okay, but do you understand what it does? And she's like, well, I've been pretty much either beside or across from or behind a Vox vendor at my last 7 events. So I guess I have a pretty good handle on it. And I said, do you know that it affects the brain? No one's ever told me that. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So there again, like there's a lot of times when people will either miss what you've said, so you need to be clear, or other times it's that it doesn't get said at all. And that's the sad part about vendor shows, is that either there's not enough time to build a relationship, or it just doesn't get said because you don't know how to express what's going on with the technology. But credibility is huge. So that was her story. And I said to her, I says, you realize it has nothing to do with the sock? And she's like, really? Says, but you're selling socks. I said, no, it's a technology that's been built into the sock. Well, where is it built in? It says, well, on this little red patch at the bottom. And she's like, you've got to be kidding me. out of 7 vendor shows, I had no idea that it was the technology that's been built into the sock that affects the brain. And I'm like, okay, Terry, we need to talk about this, because this is so basic and so key to understanding what this technology is. We need to remind people that this is a technology company, that this affects the brain through the pattern recognition on the bottom of the sock, or on the sticker, the patch on your arm. That's where our credibility is going to come in, when we're all saying the same thing. So knowledge is power as far as gaining credibility with those that we're coming in contact with and talking to. It's crucial in educating the public that this is not an Advil or a Tylenol to help your pain. They're going to be more apt to wear it. They're going to be able to go ahead and have a bad day that, oh, my headaches are back. The socks aren't working. Yes, they're working, but maybe they're working on something else today. But if they have that understanding right from the get-go, it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to have things change, that their pain may come back if it did go away, that their stress level, their adrenaline is out of whack because of a stressful situation or things like that. So education is huge when we talk about consistency later on, as far as getting the people to wear this product continually. They have to know that the results are going to be all over the map, but the homeostasis is the key. And that's what's going to change how their brain and their body are interacting together in a positive way, but not necessarily in a way that they want it to. So that I found to be very interesting, coming from a lady who is very well educated and very smart, and has been in contact with so many vendors, and yet still hadn't got the basics of this is a technology product that affects the brain, puts it in the brain to analyze and respond to information differently. And so that's kind of where it started from. And then as Terry and I got talking about knowledge and how knowledge can be very powerful, but consistency, and we'll get into that later.
Darlene, I just have to excuse me just for 1 second for everybody that's on the call here too. I urge you, because Darlene is bang on with this, and Dr. Mark DeBrincat has talked at quite some length about this in a training that he did back in March.
Yes.
So, and I'm going to do my best to get Dr. Mark on to review that again. But I urge you to go into the Team Voxination page in the units. You click on the Learning tab and go to the units. And it's under Recordings, which is Unit 8. And to open up that unit, you actually have to click on the title, Recordings. Click on the title that says Recordings. Then it opens up the unit. And then you can scroll through, and all the trainings are there. So I urge everybody to go there. We, as associates, have a fiduciary duty to understand what we have so that we can set up customers, clients, potential new associates for success.
Yes.
So you have to do some personal or self-training. Go back. There was a reason we saved these recordings. And again, you may want to go back, when Darlene's done this training tonight, and go back and listen again to what Darlene has said. So sorry, Darlene, I just wanted to remind everybody that that's in there, because that coincides perfectly with what you're saying about, homeostasis. And Dr. Mark Working reiterated that in Chicago this weekend, that we elicit a response in the brain that then allows your body to work on its own wellness.
Yes.
In ways that we may not, have bought them for. Right?
Exactly. And that's exactly what my point has always been. I put a video out a while back about, what to talk about at vendor shows when you have like 30 seconds. And one of my favorite answers when people say, can it help me with this? Because I don't know what else your body's dealing with that your brain is going to take priority to. And so that's the thing. So when I get into consistency, that's where I was going to mention, Terry. So bang on with that as well. We're reading each other's minds. It's getting a little scary. But getting into those the videos that have been posted, either on Terry's YouTube page or on the Vox Life YouTube page, or on the back office. Go through them, and that's I'll get into that with consistency. So I'll stop there. But getting to know, and this is as well as is your continued learning, that's going to be key when you talk to people. So even something as simple as spending 5 minutes a day researching one condition on the testimonials page, so that if somebody comes up to your booth and says, I have rheumatoid arthritis, what do you know? Okay, so from what I recall, there's like, I remember 3 people and this is what they all had affected, and it may be different, but you have a general idea. Because when you have a general idea about what some of these conditions are dealing with, you don't have to worry about compliance. You don't have to worry about saying, this is going to help for condition. You can say, tell me about your condition. People love to talk to you. So when they come up to you and they say, what can this do for my arthritis? Ask them a question back. Say, tell me about your arthritis. And they're going to say, oh, well, it keeps me up at night. I have to take anti-inflammatories. I can't do this, this, or this. So now you know that their mobility is an issue because they can't do this, this, or this. You know that they have inflammation because they have to take anti-inflammatories, and they're not sleeping well. What can homeostasis do for sleep, inflammation, mobility? Now you know how to answer their question. That's where knowledge is powerful. So you're not telling them this is going to help for their arthritis. You're going to say this is going to calm your brain down enough that possibly you may be able to sleep better or sleep more deeply. Your inflammation may not be reacted to as strongly because your brain and your body are not going into this hyper mode where it's like, okay, there's an injury, so we have to send inflammation. Oh, look, there's inflammation. That must be a problem. Let's send more inflammation. So this is where the body can actually compound its own injuries. If you know that this homeostasis can stop that cycle, it's not going to make that condition go away. But if it can stop that compounding cycle, you've now reduced that contributing factor to that injury or to that problem. So knowledge is very powerful in that it will increase your compassion for that person. So credibility was one, compassion is another. So when somebody comes to you at a booth or a friend of yours calls you up and says, what do I do about this? Ask them a question. What are you dealing with? What is the part of what you're dealing with that affects you the most? And see if you can kind of figure out from there how homeostasis could help that. And there again, their brain and their body may be just needing a little bit of an edge, and it could be very subtle. So in the comments, tell me, is there anybody out there that deals with low blood pressure? I'll wait for a second and see if anybody responds. Because this is another personal story. Low blood pressure. Anybody out there? Put a play in. No low blood pressure. Okay, so let me tell you my low blood pressure.
Everybody's been wearing the socks.
Everybody's got their love. True. Okay, so here we go. So
yes,
I generally had low blood pressure. When I would get up out of a chair, I would see stars. And then it's like, okay. And people say, you okay? So, yeah, I'm totally fine. I'm just give me a minute. And then I can start walking, because if I walk too fast, I would likely pass out. It never got that bad, but it was always kind of that thing. So last summer, the patch came out, the thin insoles came out, everything was good, but I got lazy, didn't have my socks on, didn't have my insoles on. And I went to get up out of a chair, and all of a sudden I see these little stars happening. And I'm like, oh my, I haven't had that in like a year and a half. I hadn't even considered that homeostasis would be affecting my blood pressure. And yet it totally makes sense like health-wise, because it affects the autonomic nervous system, it affects the brainstem, it affects how it affects the rest of your non-thinking functions in the body. So I hadn't even put 2 and 2 together. So that's where your compassionate part of you, when you start to ask questions, and when somebody comes back at you and says, the socks aren't working for me, go through some of the subtleties. What were you expecting it to do? What are some of the subtle changes? When you
I think we've lost Darlene here. She may have to log back on here. We've lost her, I believe. Technical difficulties, folks. Give me just a second here. Just when it was getting good.
Just gonna unmute myself.
There you go.
So, yeah, so there again, like some of the subtle changes when you understand, when you have a compassion for people, when you start to ask them questions, you're going to be able to come back and say, did you notice a difference in such and such that you were coming in and complaining about before? Well, okay, so now that you mention it, that is being affected. So compassion is a huge part of where the knowledge comes in, is when you ask them questions, you come back and forth like that. And then there's also learning about the events that you're going to. So I was at an event last year. It was the National Square Dance Convention in London. So I don't dance. I have no coordination whatsoever, let alone square dancing. I think I could probably square dance. But if you, again, the compassion comes out when you start to look at your events that you're going to and you start researching what these events are. So I know Edna from my team is going to be doing a horseback riding or a competition that has to do with horses. So she's been researching that. So when you have that knowledge base behind you, you have so much more credibility when you talk to these people, and you have more of a compassionate stance because you understand a little bit of their life, and you can do that. So that's where a lot of the compassion and the credibility comes when you start taking the steps to know some of these things ahead of time and growing yourself. And again, we'll get into the video part of it because that's a big, it's so simple to educate yourself, and I'll tell you all about that. But the third thing, the credibility, the compassion, but also the confidence. So when somebody comes to your booth and they says, I tried those and they didn't work for me, you have the confidence to say, did they not work for you? Or did they not do what you wanted them to? And that's a big thing. Building relationships, somebody said, exactly. When you start to build a relationship with somebody, they start to trust you. And that's what we'll get into in the next part as well. But understanding that expectations and reality are totally different. And when somebody doesn't understand brain, it's really hard to grasp that these socks were supposed to help my pain and they didn't do anything. So back to Diane that gave me the flyer, she's like, they didn't do anything. And so about 6 months in, she's like, did you ever look up that company? And I said, well, yes, I did. And she said, well, what'd you think? And I was like, I signed up. And she's like, you signed up, but they don't work. And I said, where are your socks right now? And she's in my drawer. And how many days did you wear them? 1. And how many years have you had your chronic pain condition? 37. Go home and put your socks on. Like it's just, people want a miracle. And bless their hearts, they're going to get it. But it may not be the miracle that they were expecting or the one that they wanted right off the bat. So there's more to her story, which I'll get into right at the end, because it is kind of a neat story. Terry will remember her from her daughter had the thumb thing at the symposium.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's where knowledge is powerful. It's powerful because you're going to be gaining credibility, you're going to be gaining compassion, and you're going to be gaining confidence when you have that knowledge base behind you. But consistency is the key. You have to remain consistent in Vox life. You have to continue living the Vox life. Basically, when you join Vox life, you don't know a whole lot. So getting that knowledge base is a huge thing. And it can be something as simple as the consistency of looking up one condition every day on the testimonial page and just reading through what that has. It could be something as simple as one video from either Terry's YouTube channel, Vox Life YouTube channel, the Vimeo channels that have been out there, or something from the back office. 1, 2 or 3 minute video a day, or if you have enough time, sit down and listen to one of the 45-minute ones or something like that. But one video a day will constantly bring that back into your thought process. And then when somebody says, well, what about this? It's like, oh yeah, Dr. Working talked about that. Let me explain that to you. This isn't about fixing something. This is about working towards wellness. Or, it could be something else. It's like, oh, Dr. DeBrincat talked about that. Or, oh, Angela Brown mentioned that in one of her talks. All these things are going to start to come back if you put them in your brain. And you have to continually work through that. So that's something that continually needs to be fed in order to come out naturally. So that's where consistency is definitely a key. Be deliberate and be mindful of what you're doing in your Vox. I'm going to call it your Vox life. I'm not even going to call it your business, because there's a whole business side to this as well. But when you're living the Vox life, you're sharing it. And that needs to come out and just permeate everything about who you are. And then it will naturally come out when you greet somebody. I know Paul has mentioned before, when you see somebody walking across the parking lot and they're limping, he's gone up into them and says, hey, you know what? Can I share something with you? You're not going to have the confidence to do that unless this is a whole part of your life. And that's where it starts to overflow. And that's where the blessing starts to come, is when you start to reach out to people that you would not normally reach out to, because you have that confidence, because you're mindful of what you're doing and you're going out and you're helping people. So being deliberate and being mindful in that. So there's 3 things that can come out of consistency, and one is trust. So think about the first time either you or somebody that joined Vox Life, and they posted like 100 different things on Facebook. And then all of a sudden you don't hear from them for like 2 weeks, and they're posting about their dog, or they're posting about their fishing trip, or, something else. And it's like, well, that was a fad. Consistency in trust is huge with that. Not that you have to be posting all the time. People that will go on my Facebook page right now, there's a fair bit of Vox stuff in there. But I also tend to be very private, so I don't have a lot of my personal stuff on there. But if I don't post consistently, they're going to think that I quit. So be consistent in that you're going to be building a trust, and that way when somebody sees, and I know I think Carrie has said it before, all of a sudden somebody 2 years later or a year and a half later says, I've been watching your posts, I'm ready. And this is where consistency, if they know you're in it still, they know that you have the knowledge behind it so that you can help them, they're going to come forward. And that's where you don't know who's lurking in your Facebook page. You don't know who's lurking in your Instagram or your private messaging. And that's where things will naturally start to evolve and grow if you're consistent, if you're building that trust. They're going to trust the person that if you're talking about 100 posts, if a person posts 100 times in 1 week and then not again, or somebody that posts for 10 times a week for 10 weeks, who are you going to trust? And that's a huge thing where if they see you and you're consistent, they're going to be able to trust you. You can encourage that consistency, and you can grow through that. So one thing that I've learned to try and get in touch with myself is encouraging other people on our team page. And it always was like, well, if I like this one or I comment on this one, somebody else is going to feel left out if I don't comment on theirs. So now when I welcome people, I press the like button first, or love, depending, and then I welcome them, so that when I scroll back through, it's like, no, I've already welcomed them because I hit the like. So there's things that you can do that you'll learn to be consistent yourself. If you want to be welcoming and you didn't welcome people for like a whole week, now you can go back and scroll through and you can still welcome them because they haven't been liked by you. So then that'll remind you to be consistent with different encouragements that you're giving as well. Trust is also big. Trust your intuition. When you're, I don't know how else to describe it, but when you're guided to somebody, you need to trust that. If you're being led to go talk to somebody, go talk to them. Even if they shut you down, open that door, give them a little bit of hope, and see where it takes you. And yeah, you're going to get your no's and you're going to get your whatevers, but that is going to come. And they are going to know that they can trust you because you've reached out to them. You've put yourself out on the line, and your consistency in supporting them, they're going to be able to trust you in that. So to follow your intuition. The other thing with consistency is that you are going to find results. So if you are consistently reaching out to people, if you're consistently encouraging other people, if you're consistently learning, your business is going to grow. You yourself is going to grow. and also just how your team is going to be built is going to grow. Terry Randall could probably give you a whole novel's worth of stuff on there about consistency, about making sure that people are engaged and working together, and how that can translate into results as far as consistency. The person who introduced me there, again, as far as results go. So I encouraged her to wear them for more than a day. And so she wore them for a day and a half, I think, and then they went back in the drawer. And then it wasn't until her neighbor walked through the door, post-surgical knee replacement without a cane, and it was a ridiculously short amount of time. And she's like, when are you going for your knee replacement? And she's like, I already had it. And, well, how can you be walking without a cane? It says, oh, well, it might be this. And she pulled up her pant leg, and she's wearing a pair of Vox socks. Her surgeon had given it to her. And then it finally clicked on her that maybe I should take this seriously. And so she started wearing her socks, and she's like, she wore them for 3 days. And all of a sudden she has all this energy. Her pain was less. The next time she went in for pain injections, they were cut in half. She only needed half as many. It finally took. And so she got the point that you have to wear them consistently. So the consistency is the key, both in your business, in your life, and in the tech. I'm just going to read this something here.
Darlene, I'm just reading Edna's post, and
Right.
and Edna, it's we all get people that throw stones, and some people that throw the worst stones and the worst arrows are family.
Yeah.
And so, as hard as it may be, we can block family. Right. So
Well, and other times it's not even about blocking them. It's about being patient with them and understanding that other people will read into that too.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that's true, Darlene, but as you said, consistency is real, because for every one person that, wants to take shots, it's usually because they don't know how much we know. And so, being consistent is key, because there's 10 people for every one that want to learn more, and they don't always comment.
No.
They may be sitting from afar, and I've had lots that do that. And also, people are watching to see how real you are with this product, how behind it you are. And you're showing people that you're a professional. You're showing people that you're behind this 100%. And there's lots of skeptics out there. And I've always said, you have a right to be wrong. You don't know what I know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure that if they were to get in a conversation about our socks with Dr. Thatcher, they would be minimized very quickly.
Yes.
So that you have that. So don't engage with people that are toxic and don't know what we know. We've helped over 3.5 million people. All right. So, and that's a great point, but you're better than that. And you're stronger than that, and good for you. And it was a great reminder that Darlene has made tonight, for sure.
Yeah. So that, even to go ahead with that. So my brother's a science teacher, very smart man. And I never wanted to say anything to him about the socks when I first joined, because I'm the youngest in the family. I've always been, what do you know? You're the youngest, and blah, blah, blah. And that's why I tend to be more quiet. I have issues, but that's a whole other story. But the fact is that I didn't share a lot with him. I would just mention it to things. My dad had extreme results, so much so that my mom was like, okay, we need to take the socks away from him so he'll stay home. But that's, it's kind of cute. But the whole fact is that eventually he actually did come to me and he says, tell me about them. And my heart was pounding like crazy. And I told him, and even with his science brain, he's like, I just need to know that they're going to help my wife's foot when we go biking, so she can actually finish the bike ride without her foot hurting. And I'm like, I can just tell you what it can do for your brain, how that translates. Let's give them a try. You've got 30 days. Don't give them answers. You don't have to give them the answers. So anyway, he's got them. He's been wearing them for over 2 years. He just actually picked up some more for Mother's Day for her. And I just got my order in of the Iconic socks. So I don't think I can be flexible enough. We'll see. Ugh.
Yay!
And so I showed him. He's like, well, what am I supposed to do with those? And I'm like, wear them. And he's like, but I only wear them for biking. And I'm like, oh, you know, it's like you're a science teacher. Your brain is going into homeostasis. Like, why would you not want to wear these all the time? But again, it's education. It's grasping a hold of that. He was just, and then we go for a family get together, and he's telling my sister, he says, did you get any of those from Dar? And she's like, yeah, but they don't really help for my pain. It's like, well, I tell you, I don't have any hot spots on my feet when I bike, and my feet don't stink. But that's what was important to him. And I've told my sister too, I says, it's not about the pain relief. It's about getting your body back into homeostasis and keeping it there. And when they get a hold of that concept, they will wear them. So my husband is also a skeptic. When he has a quite a severe back condition, and he has a lot of pain. And when we first started getting him into the socks, they didn't help. And then finally, the Dr. DeBrinket had his stuff come out. And so I basically death threaded him. I got rid of all his other socks. He says, you are only wearing these socks. I don't care if they help your pain or not.
Death threaded him.
You know, it's worked. It has helped calm things down. He still has pain. He still has quite severe pain. But I'm also noticing it doesn't agitate him as much. You know, like there's changes that are coming. But again, it's if you take away the expectation and teach them about what it actually does, it's so different than trying to get rid of a symptom. So, but again, he had to wear them consistently because he'd wear them every once in a while, and that's, you know, what it is. But teach these people to wear them every day, that it's about the brain, it's not about their pain, and have them experience what homeostasis can do for them. It is the consistency, it is about knowledge, and they do work together. And that's it. So when you actually teach them about that, the commitment does come. Mm-hmm. And that's the last part of consistency. It is commitment. And that's
Dr. Mark put it really succinctly to me. He said he ran into a guy that had a hearing aid.
Yeah, I love that story. Go ahead.
And he said, why do you wear that hearing aid? And he said, because it optimizes my hearing. I can hear better.
Yeah.
And he said, how often do you wear it? And he said, every day. And so Dr. Mark says, well, our technology optimizes your neurology, which will allow your body to function at its best and be in the best position for your body to work on its own wellness and healing. Mm-hmm. You have to wear our technology every day. Just as a hearing aid optimizes your hearing, our technology optimizes your neurology. They don't work in the drawer. The hearing aid doesn't work on the dresser.
Yeah.
Right? So that may help the field.
Yeah. So I'm just reading the comments, and some of the things is I can totally relate to, I think Edna had it about having the insoles in your shoes. I've had people say these are the most comfortable shoes I've ever had, and they'll go get another pair, and all of a sudden they're not the most comfortable shoes anymore. Well, you didn't put your insoles in. Well, sometimes they don't make those connections, but yeah, it is interesting how they perceive how different things are doing that. But yeah,
and I think, Darlene, thank you so much. You did a great job. And one of the things that we teach in our 90-day action plan, there's a section in there for posting. It's called the 10-4-1 system on Facebook. And mm-hmm. I saw a post today that that we use Facebook as a tool, and don't be afraid. A lot of people say they don't like Facebook, and I think really the reality is, if Facebook used in the right way and taught and learned how to use it, it's not really that you hate Facebook, it's that you really don't know how to use it. So therefore, the easy thing to say is I hate it. And so, we're going to do some more training on Facebook, because it is a tool that is magnificent. It's a great tool to communicate. But we teach a system called 10-4-1, which is 10 posts a week on who you are, because people want to see who you are. You want to build your brand, the brand of you. Do you like to play with your kids? Do you like to water ski? Do you like to sew? Do you like to, play baseball? Do you like to fish? Do you like the outdoors? Post those family things. Post those things that you like to do, because people will resonate. And always try and make a couple of new friend requests a day. on your Facebook. Reach out and send a friend request to somebody, either Vox people or maybe friends that have, mutual friends of yours, and build your network. It's all about building network. Make the goal to build your network to max out on Facebook to 5,000 people.
And it goes to credibility too. Like even when you're posting something and then I like it, there's a credibility there.
Absolutely.
And that's where the stories start to make sense. It's like, wow, if so many people are actually feeling that. I have to tell you one more story from, I think it's Patty, talked about the happy socks. So it was an older couple. It was actually that older couple that was at the Simcoe show. She bought a pair of socks for her. Of course, her husband had to have some because she had them. And she called me up about 2 weeks later. She says, I need some more of these. And I said, are they helping you? And she's like, well, I'm not sure, but I don't want to kill my husband anymore. And, okay, so homeostasis calms down the agitation response, right? There again, if you understand homeostasis, you can explain to them. It's like, yes, that's totally an effect of the socks because homeostasis calms down the agitation response. So yeah, I mean, the happy socks. Well, if that's all it does,
that's a great thing. Yeah. Well, it's really encouraging that as we go further and further, and what was spoke of is the cumulative value.
Yes.
The cumulative value that we're finding out with this technology that the doctors are revealing, and for me, that's really exciting to be part of that study and to see that cumulative value, and then to be able to feel the residual results of that, of just being clear-headed, because having concussion damage, you don't realize, but you learn to live with it, right? So when you're drawing blanks and stuff throughout your life, you're thinking that's just normal. Yeah. All of a sudden, when you're not drawing blanks anymore, it's like pretty cool. And then to actually see it on a brain scan. So it's up to us to educate ourselves to the best of our ability. There's lots of tools out there. We want to be successful at this. We want to be part of the mission. We do have a duty to educate ourselves as best we can to get to events.
It's like 5 minutes. Go through your testimonial page, go through a couple of the videos, just one thing every day to keep it in your no pun intended, keep it in your brain.
Yeah.
And it will naturally start to come out.
Yeah. So I think that you've done an awesome job of explaining that, Darlene. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's always great to have you on the call. It's always great. We got to do another event around your area again too, but we got so much stuff coming up. Just a little bit of house cleaning here. I just wanted to mention we have a couple of events coming up that are available. People, you can go onto the Team Vaccination page, click on the learning, and I believe it's Unit 2 that is opportunity events. You can always click on there and see if there's an opportunity event in an area by you. We're always looking to support people that want to step up and show leadership and develop an event. We've got a template. We're getting better at these events. We're getting better at a call to action. We're getting better at, presenting to people. And so in Red Deer, May 25th, Brenna Bovair and Ali Anderson and Blair are having an event out in Red Deer. So if you know anybody out there, friends, family, copy the link that's in the Learning tab under Opportunity Trainings, under, I believe it's Unit 2. Send them the link. Encourage them to go there. Tell them to get their free ticket. Fill the place. They are so exciting. Everybody I always talk to that's been at an event always says, man, am I ever glad I came? Am I ever glad I came here? Right? You hear it from people out west. You hear it from people in the States. I even start hearing now, I wished I could have come. I wished I could have got there.
I wish I could have been in Chicago.
Yeah. But, we take away, we can't make everything. I get that. But you got to make an effort to get there, to get friends there, to get your teammates there, just like this call. Get your teammates on these calls. There's always a nugget we can all take away to become better. One of the pillars of Ikigai is self-improvement. That's what our company is founded on. So we have to improve each day. We'll never be perfect in this world. Perfection is impossible in this world. But I'll tell you what, it's an absolute joy chasing excellence. And it's up to us to go after our own little piece of excellence. So again, on behalf of the field, Darlene, thank you so much. Folks, I'll have the recording done. I'll have it placed in the team page. It'll be posted on the page as well. Share it with your team. Get out there. If you have any questions, please post your questions. Participate in team vaccination. Add content. Let's celebrate our successes. We had a great post last week or a few days ago where people posted all their successes, little, large. We need to celebrate those successes. You guys are all champions. You guys are unbelievable, spectacular people. And you're doing this, and you're doing it well, and you're on this call because you are great, and you want to be greater, and we appreciate you. So with that, I will open up the lines. I'll unmute everybody, and we can all say goodnight. And thank you, everyone, for being on this call tonight. Have a great night, and good night to everyone. And thanks again, Darlene.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. God
Good
bless.
night, everyone.
Great call. Monty.
Good night, all. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Good night.
Steve.
Good night.
Excellent.